Welcome to Movie to Beer, everybody. This is Dan Bergensen, and we have some wonderful friends with us tonight on this amazing episode. And we're talking zombies tonight, right, guys?
And I'm your Edgar Wright expert, Blake.
And I'm your expert on making zombies and the craft of making zombies. And
your name, Brian.
And my name is Brian.
This is Aaron. I'm the name expert.
Yay! So we watched this we're flashing back to 2004 yet again because Aaron's here, and we always have to watch a 2004 movie with Aaron because there were so many good ones.
Except for all those times we didn't watch a 2004 movie with Aaron, but that's fine.
You know, we just digress a little bit here.
You digress a little bit.
We really like 2004 movies, and
It was a
tonight
great year.
is not an exception to
It
that. It was Shaun of the Dead,
Shaun
which
of the
is
Dead.
Simon Pegg and
Edgar Wright's first big budget just film.
Well, it was like more than $1 million, so that's pretty big budget.
3 million pounds, 4 million pounds,
Yeah,
something like
so,
that.
So about $6 million.
Yeah, back in the day, that was about
2 to 1.
2 to 1. Yeah, exchange rate
Lots of money. So if you haven't seen this film, it's been around for a little while.
since 2004.
We knew we were going to watch this. This has been on our list to watch for a while, and we said, "Hey, let's get some pub beers because we're not in England, and we've already done British beers for British films, so we just got a beer called Pub Beer and then a Helles Lager, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. And I think both of them, while they tasted pretty close to each other, went really well with the film because we're just like hanging out watching it with friends, like they do. You're going to survive the apocalypse
And go
with your
around,
buddies.
have a round at the Winchester, and wait for all this to blow over.
Yes.
Well, it's a safe, comfortable spot to spend the zombie apocalypse. And these are, I don't want to say safe, comfortable beers, but they're familiar flavors. They go well.
It's
They're
beer that
easy.
tastes like beer.
It's beer that tastes like beer.
Yeah. Which is basically what they want. He's like, it's going to be a little warm, but you'll enjoy it.
Thanks, babe.
This is a movie about some 30-something guys and their, I guess you would say, girlfriends and friends that, the one works at an electronics store. And you just got to feel for the guy because it's a small hole-in-the-wall mom and pop shop, and he's just trying to
Dan, you're
have a
focusing on
life.
every wrong detail right
And-
now. The whole thing is that Shaun's living like a zombie. His life's going nowhere.
It sucks.
Liz breaks up with him.
Yes.
He's hanging on to his friend from primary school, Ed, who's been crashing for 5 or 6 months, who's a
Yes.
drug dealer occasionally, and
Every character has something that they can't let go of and they can't move on from.
Yeah.
Liz is just
David,
mad.
Lev-
Liz gives him an ultimatum. It's either the pub or me. That's the whole
Right.
premise of the film.
Yeah, grow up, start, and Liz doesn't want to be trapped. She doesn't want to be in this routine, in this like boring pub, drinking her life away. Is I think what she actually says.
She says that.
And she wants to go out. She wants to have adventures.
And one of Sean's roommates tells him to ditch the messy roommate,
Yeah.
who he's known since grammar school,
Pete
Yeah.
who
Poor
drinks
Pete.
beer, plays video games,
deals drugs.
eats crisps on the couch.
I can't imagine anybody in this group doing that ever.
Never.
That's all I do.
I don't eat crisps on the couch.
You them in
Yeah,
bed,
you
or you weirdo.
You
We
eat popcorn.
still have jobs. We still get up off the
Yeah.
couch
yeah.
once in a while.
But there is certainly, I think, of this allegory though of like Shaun is living this existence that's so routine. He's so kind of dead to life. He's so just like going through the motions. And and of course Liz is going to respond to this. Of course Liz is going to want better for herself,
Yeah.
and want better from him for what is the life that she wants versus this kind of deadened routine of a job that's going nowhere.
She wants to go out to a nice dinner and
The place with all the
Movie.
fish.
Dinner and a movie.
yeah, and instead he takes her to the pub.
But
the
the other
Winchester.
one of the other characters, David, he's fixated on the past too. He can't let go of this fixation on Liz. Also, he's stuck and can't grow up. And then Ed, the classic friend, who's kind of I think a representation of all the immature people that we know.
We don't know anyone like that.
Right? No, none of us.
Why are you looking at me so hard in
None
the
of us.
I'm
eyes?
staring at my screen. I'm not staring
Dan's
at
looking at my
Nobody
soul,
here.
guys.
I'm staring down here.
But we do have people that will help us, that will cause us to, I think, kind of regress and be an earlier, younger, stupider version of ourselves. Like, that's not necessarily bad.
That's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's
But
nice. It's nice to revert once in a while and be like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to be free.
This is what I was like in college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, we're diverging quite a bit because the film this is really the setup to the film.
Yeah.
Because
it's
what
meditation on
happens is the zombie apocalypse, which flips Shaun out of his routine.
Oh, yeah. kicks him into hero mode.
Well, the whole fun thing is like there's the whole like the end of the first part, which the first part is like it's small stories. It's like we're setting it up, and then he wakes up that morning after the shit's gone to shit, and he's walking around and does his routine.
He's
and
still
doesn't notice.
oblivious.
He's
Right.
oblivious to everything because
He's
he just
still
hasn't
in
figured
his
it out.
life,
Yeah,
which is oblivion.
yeah, and I think that's a really good message to everybody. I think that's hammered really well in that context.
Yeah, you could be like so caught up in your own internal, the can be kind of
Minutia.
self-absorbed that you can be completely unaware of what's going on.
Don't have your earbuds in while you're walking down the street, looking at your phone and cross the street. That's a really bad idea, which is basically the premise of this movie.
And check your voicemail.
Check your voicemails.
I actually did almost get hit by a car back in Norfolk because of that.
Yeah. Well, you just be careful. Look out for yourself. Look out for your others. And that's also part of the story is the redemption that he goes through and finding I have purpose as long as I make an effort.
Anyway, there's zombies in this, and George Romero saw a screening of it and was so honored by it because they based this off the Romero trilogy
Yes.
that he made Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg extras in his Land of the Dead, made in 2005. Like a year later after this movie came out. Like, this is an amazing zombie movie.
They do some pretty atypical zombie activities. They're not very fast. They walk slow.
Simon
They put their
Pegg
arms
said,
out in front of themselves.
in response to that, Simon Pegg said, death isn't an energy drink.
No, it is not.
Now, I love a running zombie, but he's right. You're a rotting corpse. The most you should be able to do is shuffle. But it's that they retain. I like that they retain their personality. You see it in the stepdad when they're like, he's gone. He's not there anymore. He turns off the music.
Right.
He tells his recently undead former roommate Pete that we're going to take your car. The hand punches out of the shower.
Right. It's elements of personality might change, but the metabolism absolutely is different.
Yeah.
So all the zombie films like The Walking Dead and things where they're just wandering around versus the films and TV shows that I've seen where they have them running and they're smart and they know what they're doing. There's been some other British shows I mentioned while we were watching this towards the end about, you don't have to be undead to be undead because things, the dead don't die, which was a really good film that came out pretty recently. That was a hilarious thing. And that had running zombies.
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
But they came out of the ground. This was like skeletons and zombies, not just like zombies.
Right.
Zombies.
Like, I don't care for Zack Snyder, but he does make a pretty good smart zombie.
Yeah.
It's one of the newer Dead movies that, like, I think, not Bubs, that's the Fido one, but, like, another zombie, like, figures out how a door works, and he's letting the whole horde into this human encampment. But we're not talking about Zack Snyder and his questionable decisions. We're talking about how great Edgar Wright is.
Well, I think one of the things I wanted to say about Shaun of the Dead, that aside from all the zombie movie tropes, there's a lot of zombie movies out there, but Shaun of the Dead, it keeps its humor throughout, but also like there's a focus on relationships, and characters, and even in this sort of a life or death situation. There's a message that like all of that, those relationships and these characters' decisions, they still matter. And not just decisions of like, oh, do I run downstairs because the zombies are here? No, it's like decisions about like, the direction of your life. Who do you want to include in your life? What are you going to do with yourself? All of that still matters, even in the context of it's a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Not like a lot of zombie movies, it's not. It's just kind of these adrenaline jumps,
Somebody's phone ding. Sorry, keep going.
A lot of the other zombie movies, it's like there's all these like jump shots and there's all this adrenaline, and it's not it's not looking at who the characters are. It's not looking at what their relationships are. It's not looking at what are the primary character motivations beyond just staying alive. Shaun of the Dead looks at that stuff. It does an excellent job of it, I think, to examine that and keep it funny. And still, raise the tension. Have this, this tension about
the zombies aren't the focus.
The zombies are not the focus. Yeah, that's
it's the backdrop to the storytelling.
I was trying to get there, Dan, and you just put me over the finish line. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I really like about it. It's not just shock factor. It's not just jump shots or scare shots. It's a story, and it's about characters, and those characters matter.
They do.
Yeah. Well, it is a comedy, and it's commentary about the hero's journey. Really, it's Shaun's character arc from someone who's just floating through his life to someone whose life matters to him for a change.
Right.
And it matters to him because he needs to save these people, and it's the people he's chosen to be in his life. He's chosen something for the first time in probably years.
Right.
And that thing is have a plan. The plan is go save mom, go save girlfriend, go to the Winchester.
And eat peanuts in the dark.
And then peanuts in the dark.
And-
Because that gets said like 3 times.
And have a login with this all. Wait for this all to wash
blow
over.
over.
I'll blow over.
Yeah, and then it's like when it's funny is like, which happens in The Walking Dead and some of the other more recent TV and movies that have been out there. It's like you set the zombie on fire, the zombie's on fire. It's still going to come after you. It's not going to stop unless you kill its brain. So it's like when they set the bar on fire, I'm like, oh, you just screwed yourself on that one.
Yeah.
Well, they've
Not-
seen them
not a lot
act.
of
They've seen them
forethought.
act like people before. People are scared of fire.
Yeah, but so do we judge this film based on their actions and just how they would do it based on that point in time in the universe without having a crap ton of other zombie films out there? And like, oh, you should do this if that happens. Well, who's going to do that? Because we're all scared and we don't know what to do and we just react.
You know, not everyone's been in a situation where they have to deal with encroaching zombies within 5 feet.
I'd grab
On
my nearest
the-
baseball bat or my club and
You don't
just
have
go
a
to
baseball
town.
bat.
I don't, but I would buy one.
Well, you need to buy one. Hey,
right.
let's just take on the campus. We'll steal some.
Yeah. No doubt.
Zombie lore though wasn't like The Walking Dead, and starting with that, like I mean, you know,
George Romero.
the
George Romero's
vampire
started it,
thing was, you know, like Vlad the Impaler, and you know, was it Bulgaria or Romania, the Balkans?
It's pronounced Transylvania, Aaron. Get your head out of your
Okay,
butt.
Transylvania, but you know, that
don't
was a
know.
real dude, you know, like 800 years ago or whenever. I forget.
Are we doing the time warp again?
Yeah, we're going back to 1256. It's going to be a fun time visiting.
Transsexual from Transylvania.
But
Yes.
but I mean, like zombies as an idea and as a theme, like they've been around, like, you know, at least there've been movies since like the 50s, right? Like,
You'd
Well, it was really Giorgio Romero that came up with our perception of what
Yeah.
a zombie is.
okay,
Shuffling, arms out, unresponsive.
So
yeah,
for those of
before that, it was more like the voodoo idea of a zombie, someone
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a trance-like state who's controlled by a witch doctor,
or like a
Yeah.
mummy,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they,
Yeah.
like
So-
I want to say there was a James Bond film that had some Caribbean zombie activity from like Cuba or
Is that one of the more problematic ones where they slapped women and called them hot cakes?
Yes, they did. But I want to say, I mean,
Quiet
it's-
hotcakes.
Zombies existed.
Slap.
It's just not in the context and the popularity
Yeah.
that we see them as common culture.
It was really Giorgio Romero
Yeah.
that gave us our idea that
Yeah.
we now see.
When did Romero do this? Because I'm not familiar. And I'm sure
1968, he did the
some of our
first
listeners.
one, or
Yeah.
67.
It was black and white, wasn't
It
it?
was black and white.
I was about to look it
was
up, but Brian's
called,
just dropping facts.
Brian knows. Brian knows.
Well, somebody went to
Night,
school.
Night of the Living Dead was the first one,
Night of the Living Dead.
and then there was Dawn of the Dead,
1968.
and Day of the Dead,
I love
and
the
then
I think
Land
D-
of the Dead and Army
yeah.
of the Dead.
I think Army, and I think Zack Snyder and James Gunn have each remade a couple of them. I think Dawn's my favorite because it's the one, the mall, right?
Right, which
And
is
it's a full
a
like
critique
30,
on consumerism.
yeah,
Yes, a
And
little bit.
full 30, 40 minutes where there's no zombies or just farting around the mall. And George Romero pushed for them to have pink blood because he wanted it to feel like a comic book. So people said the blood's not realistic. He said it's not supposed to be. These aren't real. I want this to be a heightened thing. Look at my giant glasses. I'm George Romero.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, you can feel the influence here with the slow shuffling. They say the night film at some point. They're real casual about it. They reference that these movies exist.
Night of the Living Dead? Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, the Romero movies. Although they do say no, don't say the Z word.
Because is that copyrighted? Are they allowed to say zombie?
I think Shaun just didn't want to face the fact that zombies are real.
Well,
he
there
just
is
got
that.
broken up with. He spent a 2-day bender drinking.
You want to expect me to shoot my mother, or you expect me to shoot my best friend, my flatmate, after I've shot my mother and I've shot my stepdad? And
I
I've
like
shot
the bold
dads.
direction you gave a British person a Jersey accent,
don't
and I was
know.
about to make a joke about the records, but never mind.
Hey, the
Yes.
original Jersey is British, man. Old
is.
Jersey.
Old Jersey is
Yeah.
definitely British.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
there's a
I will
connection.
die. I will
have
down
been
the-
outvoted. The record bit, that was hilarious because they were jamming out.
It's
They
my fir-
jammed
it's my
out.
first
The music-
album.
The music was like, oh, that was a second pressing. You can't throw that. Because they're like throwing the records in the backyard at the zombies. I totally forgot about that scene. It was hilarious.
No, it's great because that's Bloody Mary. When Ed says, you know what, let's just keep drinking, and he names all the stuff. Let's have a Bloody Mary, get a couple of the King's Head, his stepdad, and we'll come back around the Winchester. He describes what's going to happen in the movie, and Edgar Wright does that all the time. Little breadcrumbs. That you really should rewatch his movies 4 or 5 times.
There was stuff in the background that I don't remember noticing before. You know,
Right,
like the
right.
couple that was started out like making out when they went into the pub, and then they were like not making out. One was a zombie feasting on the other when they were exiting the pub, but you couldn't tell unless
Yeah.
you looked real close.
Well, until the guy's head fell
Fell off.
The guys, the head fell off. It's like, oh, they're not just necking. That's a different thing now.
Yeah, necking's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, let's not go there.
But I do like the record scene where they're throwing the vinyl in the backyard, because that
That-
also does seem like that's, they're are you connected to your past? Do you hold on to these things that kind of hold you back, or do you use that in the present to try and move forward, solve the problems you got with zombies in your backyard?
Dude,
Plus that
that's
joke.
deep.
Plus that joke where he says, "Sade, it's Liz's. She did break up with you." He throws it, shatters.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know Sade.
Also, I'm trying to remember, Brian. Is there a lot of like blunt force weapons used in the Romero movies? Because these guys reference it, but they don't do a good job until they get the cricket bat and the shovel.
Yeah,
They're throwing a basket at it for God's sakes. What is happening?
I don't know.
Plates, coffee
But there was
mugs.
the really fun thing is so now that's the second phone that's gone off, and the phones were going off during the film, and the
Oh,
dude
God,
was like,
yes.
"Oh, hold on a second, mate." And he
no,
takes the
it's-
phone call, and it's just like,
2 seconds. It's
2 seconds.
It's this guy asking for weed, and this is the zombie apocalypse. I got nothing, mate. I got nothing.
The team meeting, like opening the store, one of the teenage employees takes a
Yeah.
phone call in the team meeting of the retail associates opening the electronics store. And I was thinking, like, yeah, there was a time, like a period of time where, we were trying to figure out, like, what are the polite norms for taking cell phone calls?
What are the protocols?
What are the protocols? And there was a difference between younger generations and older generations on what they thought was socially acceptable.
that same character at the very end was in the very end scene where he then was the guy who was a zombie pushing the shopping carts because
Yes.
they put collars on him and handcuffs, and so they couldn't attack people, so they just like push carts around.
A commentary on capitalism defined, like, okay, what are the economically useful ways to employ zombies in entertainment and the service industry?
Well, of course,
Yeah.
it's awesome Japanese game shows is what it is.
American Gladiator with zombies.
Right.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Zomerica Gladiator.
Yeah.
Zombie
American
Gladiator.
zombie gladiator.
So we had a really good time watching this film, and again,
God,
I
this movie
mentioned
holds up so well.
I think we all really enjoy it. I think we've all seen it before.
I've seen it
So
5 or 6 times.
If,
I love
if you
it.
have not seen it, we really suggest seeing it. And if you're gonna watch it and have
It's
it,
fun.
have something to
It's
drink,
not a horror film.
it
It's
is
a
not.
comedy.
It is a
It's
comedy.
a zombie romantic comedy.
There are a couple bloody moments.
There's some gore.
It's PG for sure.
I mean, you see one dude get disemboweled.
But it's
But,
not
you know.
torture porn. It's not
No.
jumpy.
It's
not
more
scary.
It's more language than anything.
It kind of makes fun of the scare shots, I think.
I think it
Yeah.
tries that. Thanks for hanging out so far. This is Moving to Beer, and we're talking about Shaun of the Dead. And the two wonderful beers that we had was a 10 Barrel Brewing Company called Pub Beer Lager, and the other one was from Pfriem, which is out of Hood River, and it's their Hellas Lager. These beers tasted really similar. I mean, I felt kind of bad because I was like, I just need some really neutral lagers, and these were two that I already had, and I was like, let's do these. So at this point, we usually either have picked them out ahead of time. This was kind of, hey, we're going to watch this, and this is what we have in the fridge. So
And
I think it
I
worked really well. You did a really good job on saying, hey,
Well, I
you
mean,
have this. Let's do that.
The last act of this film happens in a pub, and the first beer we're going to talk about is literally named Pub Beer.
Yes, correct. We've given props to 10 Barrel before. They've hooked us up with beer in the past, and this is something you can get in like an 18 or 24 pack.
Yeah.
Both of these beers are available at like Fred Meyer and New Seasons and some of the bigger grocery store chains that are around the Portland Metro and West Coast area, actually. 10 Barrel gets distributed pretty widely because they're owned by a bigger company. I have no problem with that. This is a really, really nice, gentle beer. It tastes like beer.
Yeah.
It's not trying to pretend to be something else. It's not a lager other than just being a lager. It's
I was about to
trying
say, it says
be-
lager on the can.
No. I mean, when people say, "Oh, well, you know, it's like a dry hopped blah 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 with fruit or whatever," no, this is just a straight up.
It's a beer. Well, and the label on it is
It just says pub beer.
very interesting. It looks like a generic brand.
Yes.
I mean, that's intentional marketing, I think.
Yeah. So 5 point nothing ABV, so it's just 5%.
5 point nothing.
18 IBU, so super low bitterness scale. So Brian, you are a little bit more sensitive to the bitterness than some of us. What do you think of the bitter characters on this?
I enjoyed this beer of the two more.
Okay.
It was a little less bitter. There was nothing obtrusive, nothing to get in the way of my just watching the movie. It was a beer that I was having while I was watching a movie with friends.
So kind of a light grainy, malty, mid. Kind of not when I say grainy, I mean like, okay, I know that there's something there to kind of hold up against the little bit of hops that are there. So it's really gently balanced. The there's going to be there's like a citrusy pear flavor that kind of comes along with the lager and this yeast that they're using. Noble, it's just straight noble hops. So
Yeah, it was a very kind of right down the center beer. You know,
Yes.
it just nothing to distract from what I was doing.
correct.
If I wanted a beer that this is really has a lot of levels of flavor, I don't think I would have gotten that from this beer.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was
Oh.
watching movies with friends, so it was great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is like, again, they sell it in actual. So what's interesting is over the last, I don't know, 4 to 5 years, and actually COVID really pushed them all to do this. Since they've been canning, and this is actually a smaller traditional size can and not a tall boy, they sell it like, again, in like 18 and 24 packs.
Yep.
It's like less than $20. So it's like decent beer. It's not crap American lager. It's actually really decent tasting. It's not going to give you that stupid hangover. They're using good ingredients. It's just, it's not supposed to be something special and weird.
I think that 18 pack is telling, and Dan, it's a really point well taken, because there are some beers that you have, and you know you're going to have one of them.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
this like
yeah.
craft, distinct flavor that's really
They make it for 3 months out of the year.
right.
And
Yeah, and it's complete. It's unique in terms of what the flavor profile is, and the complexity of the different elements. Pub beer, however, like it's kind of, I don't want to say it's like generic in its flavor profile, but if you're having like 6 beers one night, you did a bunch of yard work and you're just
God,
having
yes.
6 beers, this is the beer that you want, because it's easy drinking, and it's 6 beers of like a really complicated flavor profile that's gonna mess up your palate, and like 6 of these
Not going to mess it up.
not gonna mess it up.
This is phenomenal cookout beer.
It is.
Which is why Dan got it for his cookout.
And
This-
if you don't have the time, or you're talking with friends, you don't have the mental capacity to
Yeah.
really
Focus in on it.
savor the beer. You don't want something really complex.
yeah,
You don't.
It's almost comfortable, like a comfortable, familiar pub that you just enjoy.
that you went to during the
well,
apocalypse.
Aaron, the thing about that is, if we're gonna go somewhere, I want to know where the exits are. I want it to feel familiar, and I want to be able to smoke. Even though I've never smoked before in my life, I want to be able to smoke.
And that would be the Winchester.
As a bit of fried gold there, clank.
Yes. The nice thing about this beer is the flavor, and as we're talking about, it's a good camping beer, or it's a good
Board
barbecue
game
beer or
night.
board game night. It's going to sit out for a little bit. It's going to sit out for half an hour. You're just sipping, because it's a sipper. It's you could chug it or sip it. I'm going to sip this one. The flavor actually gets a little better and a little flatter as it warms up, which is not a bad thing with this.
Yeah.
Because I think the flavors kind of blend a little bit better as it warms up. You again could drink it, out of a pitcher and you'd be fine. I think if you go to the 10 Barrel locations, you can get this in pitchers.
Well, I think generally, like the colder, most liquids, beer included, the colder they are, the more muted the most flavors are.
Correct.
That tends to be the advertising tactic for the larger adjunct lagers, right?
Yes, American
where-
lagers.
Where Coors' whole thing is, it's so cold, the mountains are blue now. Because if you drink it warm, it tastes like piss.
If you got a thermosensitive decal on your can, so it's cold enough to drink, that's probably not a great beer.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
not a great
opposite.
beer.
That's the opposite of what it should be.
It's one of my favorite jokes on
Exactly.
It's Always Sunny, where they make a point about the can's cold, so it's a good beer. Anyway, I quit.
All right. So the second beer that
yeah.
we had, I mean, I think these had a real similar profile. There was a little bit of difference between them. So Pfriem Helles lager. So this is a Helles style and not a Pilsner style.
Not
The
a
first
hell,
one's
not a
Pilsner
hell yeah style.
Correct. This is going to have a little bit more traditional Perla and Tettnang hops, which are really German-based hops.
You just made those words up.
I did. The first one is going to be more American British style. The second one is going to be more German style. But you can, there a lot of American breweries are making them and it's really, really, really got a nice toasted mid. When I say toasted, it's not malt
Stoned.
forward, but it's going to hold up really well as it warms up. It's going to hold on to that body. It's going to be a little hint of honey, a little sweetness. Mm-hmm. Really nice beer, both of them.
With my basic sensibilities and lack of dignity when it comes to drinking beers, I was going to say this one tasted sharper than the pub beer.
Yes, and that's from the Perla and the Tettnang are going to give you that kind of earthy, leafy, dry lift, like a little bit of acidicness on the back.
That's from the hops, that kind of acidity.
Yes. Yep. And that's why you need to have a little bit of sweetness. That's why the type of grains that they're using, Weyermann Pilsner, they have like 3 different. There's Gambrinus Pilsner and then Canadian Pilsner and acidulated malts, that's 3 different countries for malt. So you're just kind of grabbing whatever they had and made it. And it's actually really nice Helles.
Gotta catch 'em all drinking beer.
It's nice. I liked it. I think both beers went really well. I would agree. I
Right.
think the first one probably a little bit better.
Frankly, I think the combination of the first one was kind of like drinking the pub beer for the first two acts, where it's light. It's the guys being dipshits and Shaun figuring out his life and leading up to the tragic emotional moments of him having to take care of his mother and taking out his flatmate who's known for at least 5+ years and just having a rough time. Like the second one really hit well during the whole Ed's getting bit.
So
Shaun's
when
like,
he
my life
when
is
he grew
gone.
up
Yeah.
and formed a plan and led these people to
Yep.
relative safety, a little more grown up beer, a
little bit more grown up, yeah.
a little more bitter.
That works.
in
works.
flavor.
When he
I-
found
I-
his
okay.
initiative.
Yeah.
He did. He there's is when there's purpose, it works.
And if you're listening where you can't get these beers where you are locally, something light, something that tastes good but doesn't distract, because again, Edgar Wright makes films that need to be watched at least 2 to 3 times. You always catch something new. It's occasionally spells out the movie earlier, which you realize later, oh man, he just told us what's going to happen. And it's reuses lines in a really clever way. I love how he makes.
There's a lot of
I
foreshadowing.
love how he makes films. I'm a big fan.
He's a really good director, and we've done a number of his films, and I think we appreciate the effort that goes into the writing and then the directing.
Yeah.
I think from a cinematography standpoint, there wasn't a lot of budget. They did a lot of natural lighting outside shots during
Yep.
daylight. They didn't have to worry about, we have to flood the area with floodlights, and we got to blah, blah. The night shots and the dark shots were done really well. Again, there's a little bit of language, a little bit of gore.
Some gun violence.
Teenager, a little bit of gun violence, but
that one guy's being a twat.
ultimately there's worse things on TV right now and
yeah.
just nationally broadcasted TV than what you're going to see in this film. I think this tells a really good story. I would say it's
Enjoyable to
for
watch.
teens.
Yeah.
Watch it with your kids if they're teenagers, not young kids, because
Yeah.
young teens might get a little, young kids like under 10 might get a little scared, maybe under 12. Because they're zombies and the zombies attack them and they have to shoot their way through some of them. So it's a little scary.
Give
but,
your teen a beer is what Dan's saying.
basically. Not really, but yes.
Teach responsibility.
Everyone just fell
I
silent.
mean, we're all like, in Europe and in England and Germany and France, children are raised around alcohol.
Not America,
respectively.
but America.
America is not.
America, you drink whatever you want, but America, you have to be
So
the
give them
right
some
legal
good
age.
Kool-Aid or something.
2004, I just want to acknowledge, this was 18 years
A
ago.
long time ago.
I wonder how this hits for somebody who's like an 18-year-old now. I mean, all of us, without saying too much, I think we're all definitely old enough to remember 2004 and remember what the world was like then. This, pre-COVID world, but before cell phones. This
My
idea,
soul is unending.
You
I don't
just totally
either.
lost track of what he was saying. Yeah, so the realities
I didn't mean to interrupt, Aaron. I was trying to do a bit. I'm
the
sorry.
just saying,
realities of what they were interacting with and that the type of music that was popular and the things that they were doing with their lives still reflective of today. I mean, that's not going to change because the people of that age range, if you haven't figured it out and moved on and done something with your life at that point, it's going to be really hard to go there.
it's kind of a coming of age story
It
in
is.
some respects. So
Give
Yeah.
yourself an
We-
opportunity to get responsibility. And you'll be
We've all
surprised.
known people when we were 28, 29, 30 who still hadn't quite found their adult selves
I reset
yet.
my life at that age. I literally, I've multiple times gone through different career paths, and that was one of the last ones where it's like, I think I'd like to have something going on in my life later on that I can look back and be okay with, like this podcast.
the human brain continues to grow until somebody's 28 years old. You don't really become fully adult from like a physiological neuroscience perspective until you're
Good
28.
to know.
I think part of why I like Edgar Wright movies is because he tackles this theme of growing.
Over a lot. He does a lot.
Yeah, like Hot Fuzz is the second in the Cornetto flavored trilogy. Talk about the British ice cream cone candies.
The sticks,
Yeah, the sticks.
drumsticks.
In this one, it talks about, Shaun finding his place. Hot Fuzz is a little more action movie where his character learns to be flexible. But The World's End, which is unfortunately released around the same time that The End of the World, that Seth Rogen vehicle, it's fine. But The World's End, about a guy who wants to hit the Golden Mile, 12 pubs.
On his birthday.
It wasn't his birthday. He just wanted to do
He
it.
just wanted to. I thought it was his birthday.
It's a lot darker than that, but it's another great movie about, looking back at your life and change. Edgar Wright's a really good filmmaker, guys. I can't state that enough, and I currently sort of resetting his life. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of directions anyone can go with their lives, but I think so the question is it'd be interesting to look and do a little research as to a lot of his films have focused on this.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really moved on or beyond that other than
He's stuck. He needs to grow up.
He needs to grow up and find a different path.
According to his
because-
Instagram, he's doing fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, but he's making a lot of money on the films he's done. He's very successful. He's really well respected in the industry. But
It's a resonant theme.
But
it's a
he's
resonant
still working through something.
there's something there holding him back.
You know what I'm going to work through is figure out what to name the beer we're going to
The
name
pub
for
beer.
the.
Let's rename the pub beer because it's generic.
It's a good call.
And,
I like it.
And there are
So if
beer
you need
name?
to search, Dan, I can try to
no,
describe it.
I know what I'm going to call mine.
So what we're going to do is the beer name rename game where we go to IMDb's plot keywords.
Plot keywords.
And if you can't find the mobile version, just Google it. Where most movies, usually newer ones not as much, will have a collection of plot keywords supplied by the users of IMDb. I don't condone being a user of IMDb because they're owned by Amazon. I don't like Amazon, but that's a whole other point. But we usually try to, if it makes sense, rename the beer we want to rename with keywords from the movie. We mix and match. We pick something crazy. I never know when to go because I never win this, and I really want to.
Oh, you've won before. There's
doesn't-
always
how does
Not as
somebody
often as,
win?
not as often as you, man.
We
Not
all
as often
win.
as you.
We all win. There's no winner.
There's no
Okay,
loser.
Often there's a way better one than everyone else's.
Yes, occasionally, and the thing
I don't
is
mind losing because then you get something even funnier than what
It's
I had.
it's a cool vibe. I mean,
So,
it's whatever.
So
So
looking at the 10 barrel brewing company pub beer lager, it's fine, but we're gonna call it whoever's right. So I need to actually look at it.
all right, what are we going to call it, gentlemen?
I'm going to call it cricket bat because it's like a
And
nice
as long as it's dripping
Sunday
blood on the
afternoon.
label, as long as it's dripping blood on the label, yeah. It's like
Brian, why would we call it that?
Because it's a nice Sunday afternoon, well spent with friends.
Ooh, I like that.
Easy like Sunday morning.
I haven't gone through all these. I didn't know we were going to do this.
There
but
was a lot.
I'm rename. There's a lot of keywords for this movie, but I'm renaming.
Maximalism.
I'm renaming pub beer. You've got red on you.
Damn it, that's really good.
That is a really good one.
It would be the only thing that would improve that, Aaron, is if it was a red ale. That feels, or it feels like what Stonebreaker does, where they take a line from a film and say, like, "Oh, here's the name of this thing." That's
Yes.
very good. I like these both so far.
Yes. I can follow that up with dysfunctional society.
No.
Let's get deep. Not a very good name for a beer, but I like it.
Yeah. How is that reflective of this beer?
It's not.
Okay.
I'm just looking. I'm just like going to throw one.
How
out there.
much beer marketing really is reflective of the beer that?
I'm trying to get somebody else the win tonight.
Oh yeah, there's no opening credits either. That's one of those on here, and I was just like, that would be kind of interesting. No opening
I would,
credits.
I would
I'd buy
drink.
a bottle
I would
of
drink
that.
a stout named No Opening Credits. I don't know if it's on here. I kind of gave up when I realized that one of my favorite lines is, "We don't say the Z word."
That would be interesting.
It-
I like
it's,
that.
it's vague. It could kind of describe what maybe people taste like. I don't know. Zombies
We
eat
don't
people.
say the Z word.
Now,
The Z word. Z word. It has to be Z-E-D-D. It has to be spelled out. I have the British say it.
I thought there's just one Z and Z.
I have no idea. I might be referencing a Power Rangers villain.
Correct.
Shit, I am.
I mean,
Lord Zed from season 2 or 3 of Power Rangers. Anyway,
Zed, like
all right, tune
zebra,
back into
zebra
my
crossing.
Rangers cast.
We'll get back into the British language mindset.
All right,
So
not-
zebra crossings.
not to set this podcast in a time and place, but is that problematic with the war in Ukraine?
Oh,
I don't know. Why would Zed be bad?
because they're putting Z on things.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yes.
In
The Russians
Russia, Russia military vehicles are
We're,
marking
what we're
those
doing
vehicles
is showing
with
how
Zs.
ignorant Blake is of the world.
and it's
Well,
a pro-war symbol.
Who watches the news?
Not
and
me.
that was actually said in this film. It was like, who watches the news? That's like, you
No,
know, they don't pay
do
any
you-
attention.
No, he
to
said,
the
do you,
world around,
what,
yeah.
do you believe everything you see on TV? And then he
Yeah.
turned the
Who
TV
watches
off.
the news? Click.
Yeah. No, Brian, that's a good call. You should be in marketing focus groups.
Let's go improvised trampoline.
And he did a somersault.
Well,
totally-
improvised weapon was a keyword and trampoline was a keyword. I thought, yeah, improvised trampoline.
He did.
Yeah.
He did trampoline over.
He almost saved his mom.
He almost saved his mom, but he did not because she already got bit. And we're gonna plot
I don't think John and Diane live around here.
I don't think they do either. This has been Moving to Beer, and thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Wait, it has?
It has, and as always,
It's gone by so quick.
We've
has.
gone
It's
real
gone
deep
by.
for a zombie film,
We
guys.
went deep.
Yeah.
We cast it and rung it back in. So, as always, the opinions expressed during the taping of this recording are those of the hosts. And thanks for hanging out with us. We really enjoyed the film. We think you would enjoy it too. Find some easy drinking beers.
If you don't hydrate, you'll daydream. smashes through window, tears apart the guy. It's terrible.
Yeah, and you don't want to be disemboweled by zombies. So drink lots of water if you're going to
Drink
watch the film.
lots and lots of water.
Yeah, you want the zombies to think you're dehydrated and be embarrassed.
Yeah, I know. It could be like World War Z where they don't touch you if you're like if you have some sort of disease.
I've still never
You're not
watched it.
worth
The book's so good. I never watched the movie.
You're not worth turning into a zombie to them. That's like, again, and those are running
The
zombies.
film's
It's
fun.
like so weird. It's like, what's
I
the
would
difference?
recommend it.
I'll watch it eventually, but the book is
It's
top
Brad
tier.
Pitt. Come on, man.
But the movie's by Max Brooks, who did like a handful of realistic zombie fictions. It's amazing.
All right, so we're
The
digressing.
son of Mel Brooks.
Yes, we're really, really digressing at this point, and I know Aaron has things to add, but I think we're going to cut this off because
Oh no, I was thinking, how do we wrap this up?
how do we wrap this up? Well, we're just
And I
going
was
to say,
thinking, hey, thanks for listening. This is Aaron. Stay unbitten unless you're into that.
yeah.
Dibba 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 dip. Dibba 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 dip.
Thanks for listening. This is Brian.
You guys really aren't gonna do the ooh from like earlier in the film. God, you guys aren't. Real
I didn't know
film
what
nerds.
you were doing.
I don't know.
When they're leaving the pub, and they're all like dibba 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 dip. The zombie's like ooh. Dibba 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 dip.
If you did the Queen song, I would have got it.
Another
At
one
like-
bites
Oh, you mean
the
no? It's not another one bites the dust. It's Can't Stop Me Now. Don't Stop Me Now. It's Don't Stop Me Now.
Don't stop me.
But according to IMDb,
Kill the
that-
queen.
Yeah, kill the Queen.
What,
Oh.
unplug the jukebox.
What a beer name. Killed the Queen. I
Kill the
would've thought of that.
Queen.
Oh, there you go.
Apparently, some.
Are we going to wrap this up?
I have
I
one more
hope so.
trivia bit, and that'll be my last thing. And Dan's gonna cut all this anyway. Who cares? Who matter? Who cares?
Make Dan
see.
work harder with his editing.
Yeah, do the work. Apparently, according to some news article thing in London, the "Don't Stop Me Now" in this movie revitalized Queen's popularity for a younger audience.
Yeah.
They say that this is why people like younger than however old people were into Queen before got into Queen.
It's like running up that hill. Like
Apparently, yeah,
Like Kate
yeah.
Bush, yeah.
Kate Bush. Like younger audiences are rediscovering her. And Metallica, evidently.
Yeah. People are big into puppets right now, or Master of Puppets. Dan's just closing his
So young
his
people, understand
tablet.
old people had cool music too.
Once upon a time we did,
upon a
yes. And so this is Dan signing out. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're going to call it here. Check this film out. It's a good film.
2 thumbs up.
Watch the whole trilogy, man.
Yeah, there's some really good things out there to watch. Flashing back to 2004 is our vibe right now. So keep it real, everyone. And thanks for hanging out.